Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Zion Austin back at ya. Um, Yesterday was week 5, day 2, 7th of October, Tuesday. So it was our romantic scene study day, and a lot happened. So, first of all, during our warm up, Ollie came to me and asked if I wanted to stay home for the whole week next week because I was going to leave on Friday because I'm having a baby. And Ollie was like, wouldn't it just make more sense if you just instead of coming back for the 2 days on Thursday and Friday, you just stayed through reading week? Because the week after next week is what's called reading week, which is a week that we don't have classes. And so I wasn't going to be able to make it back out for reading week, but now everything's sped up. So I am Gemma, my director for my romantic scene, says she already has seen enough of me to evaluate me on um the two like marks we get, which marks are just like fancy British for grades. So those two marks are process and like product. Like the end result of what we had. It's like the difference between a formative assessment and um a summative assessment. It's been a minute since I've been in the teaching classroom. And so that was super exciting. I was like, oh, yeah, let's figure it out. And I was texting Emma while she was sleeping, and they had a meeting about it, and everyone cleared me. So I'm good to go. So I changed my flight, and I'm leaving Friday morning, and I won't be back till Friday night, 2 weeks later, a week late, 2 weeks later. Yeah. So I'm gonna be with Emma and Theo for 2 weeks, which I'm so excited about. Um, so then after warm up, we went to our room and we just had a quick, like 30-minute little meeting, just discussing some things. And then we broke off into individual groups. And then we had our one-on-one with our scene and Gemma. Is that right? Yeah. And then we practiced a little more. And then we were back with Gemma as a whole class until um, 6:30. So long day. It was good though. So at the beginning, we went over our individual schedule for our one-on-ones. We discussed the process. How's it been, right? I've really loved focusing on relationship and text over focusing on blocking. I feel like the process is normally um, you get the blocking down and then you move into whatever else, but you need to get the blocking done first. And I like how we've been focusing on text and relationships instead of blocking first. So that's been really cool. Now we're talking about space and our relationship to space. How do we include the audience and our scene partners? How do we make that make sense? Especially since we're in like a pseudo round. It's kind of the thrust, really. Um, just says trust the process, right? And she said we're all great, incredible actors, which is sweet to hear. Um, we really need to think about how we're using our body, right? How can we be truthful? How can we use the space and include people? I was going to drink some water. Shout out Sandridge, but it's empty. I haven't filled it up yet. Oh, whoopsie. So, um, right, the environment is your friend. It's your place to play. Let the space influence your performance because we talked about potentially doing our performance in another area just because that's what it was on the schedule. And so she said, let the environment affect you. Um, then some questions about stage fright were brought up, which was funny because the guy who asked about it was like, I have a question. It's for a friend, but like, what do you do when you're nervous? And she said, we all need to find our own process for relaxation, right? Something that we've practiced as we did dancing and we did a whoops, woo, ah, woo, 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 right? We did all these things to help kind of release that tension, right? You want to release that. Oh, you can also like tense your whole body and then release the tension or speak your line, right? Find your process. But it's all about the ability to soften to make you be able to receive. And then focus on your peers. Don't focus on yourself. Focus on your scene partners and what you're giving to them. There's some questions about costume. So for costume, we'll be barefoot in our regular blacks. Maybe if you need like a token or something like a scarf or a hat, then that can be added. But for the most part, we're just going to perform how we've rehearsed. I was just thinking back to how I've never really learned what to do um, in blocking when I'm not the focus, like in an ensemble. I usually just like try to make jokes and not jokes, but try to be true to my character, but in an interesting, entertaining way. And I always am worried about overselling it or being overly anything. So that's what we talked about. And then my group moved to the cemetery to practice some more. And there's like trees and like wooded area in the cemetery. So we just kind of organically moved around playing with the blocking. We still had 2/3 to block at this point. So we were like just kind of getting the flow of it and the physicality of it. It was good. It was fun. It was nice to have like leaves under your feet and like cool air and all of that to work with. And there was some big sticks to play with, which were always fun. Then we went back to Gemma and we mostly just focused on continuing it and blocking it. So we um we did not finish our blocking yet, which is a little nerve-wracking because I'm leaving on Friday. My evaluation's on Thursday, which since it's Wednesday morning right now is tomorrow. And we'll have some rehearsal in the morning and then that's it, you know. Um sorry, I was gonna pull up this email, but I'll do that at the end. Yeah, and then we went to the garden and we rehearsed a little more. Also, another person is going to fill in for me. And so that's great. And so they came to our rehearsal with Gemma and they came to our little garden rehearsal, which mostly we just talked about things. And the one thing that I feel important about is that Demetrius's love for Helena is true. It's honest. And his love for Hermia is the fake one. And so the love potion, what it really does is brings out his true love and his true affection. Okay, yeah. And then we were back with Gemma and we did a full run. Um, and we actually had someone come and sit in. She's going to be our new scene study teacher after half term. And so, some things that she wanted us to remember is to keep your blocking. Remember what you were saying. That is the most important thing. Remember what you're saying. And then, um, also, my scene is Act 3, Scene 2. I got to get that in my head because I was thinking it was Act 1 or something. But it was so fun to watch people. The class is good. There's a lot of good people. It's so fun to see them improve and develop. Some stuff that we discovered is that I need cleaner obstacles. There's some parts where it's like, oh, I'm gonna take Helena and we're gonna go back to Athens. And there's a couple times where it's like, I don't know why I'm not just doing that. And so I kind of got stuck. And I talked to the girl playing Helena, so that was good. And then we reviewed with our scene partners. Um, And we felt a little held back without clear blocking in the last little bit, but Gemma says we have time. So then um, then she gave us some feedback and she said, don't just get loud and shouty. That's something that's very easy to do with Shakespeare. It's high emotions and you want to be clear, but that loud shoutiness actually hinders comprehension and realism and the realism of having a conversation if you're just yelling at each other, right? Also, take your time with the scenes. You don't need to rush through it. That's something we were doing, especially. I think it doesn't help that the version we saw was so quick, and we're like, oh yeah, we can play with the speed. Um, we discussed our feelings and findings to Gemma and the whole class. And then we need to find layers and different sides to our characters, right? They're not just one thing. Nobody is just one thing. And what we're going to focus on Thursday is really getting back to the text, looking at that punctuation. And it's not just for memorization, it's for comprehension, it's for detailed remembrance and importance, right? And when we begin to perform, we sometimes lose those gentle and quiet, those smaller moments that so they get lost. So don't think of a performance as something big or special. Don't throw out all the work we've done. Take those moments. And don't play too much into the comedy, right? You lose the truth. And that's something that's really easy with our scene. Um, and there's this standoff with Lysander and I, where we're just like, hey, squaring up, but we got stuck, and then it was false because we're just talking and it's goofy. And so we need to find the truth in that. And then reviewing punctuation again in the text and listen to each other and connect with the characters. Also, when you're nervous or you get worried, just go back to how is your character being affected, right? And then I asked Gemma before I left, with my limited time, what should I focus on? And she said, focus on the truth. And I love that, right? When words are difficult and when situations are ridiculous, just lock in and focus on the truth. Then I want to read you the email that Gemma sent us yesterday, or just some good notes, some good stuff. Okay, Gemma says, "Hi all. We did some good work today. You are all in a good place to take the next step and start to bring everything together. Here are some overall notes to ponder as we move into our last three rehearsals. 1. Take some time to go over the text and look at the punctuation again. Remember the work we did on our first session when we looked at how punctuation can help us find clarity in the text. 2. Consider what it is that you want and what could happen if you don't get it. This supports you with finding the truth or honesty within the scene. 3. How has the other person affected your behavior? What action is this taking? Listen and respond. 4. When does the text offer you moments to speak to the audience? Who is the audience, i.e., friend, gods, etc.? We're playing with spirits of the woods, so gods, supernatural natural characters that are benevolent towards us. So they're like friendly spirits. How does that differ when speaking to your scene partner? 5. What are the events or moments, shifts in the scene? Units, right? What's the impact on all of you? How do you meet those moments? Behavior. 6. What is the environment? How does this affect the behavior/actions? And then be joyful when we find fault. I love that. Be joyful when we find fault. Remember, knowing something needs work is a step closer to refining craft. Working towards finding the how to is what actor training is all about. We don't arrive all knowing, but we leave knowing more than when we started. And that's just great. I love those focuses and all that information. I am tired, but that's what I have. I gotta get ready. I gotta go. I'm singing today. in and acting through song. I'm gonna sing For Forever. We'll see how it goes. My voice feels a little. I practiced it last night after rehearsal. I hang out with a couple guys and we sang together, and then I practiced my song, and I felt it's like so. Hopefully that won't be a problem. All we see is sky for forever. See you guys.